No Vax No Entry. That's what we're talking about today, so stick around. Alright guys, before we get started with today's video, I'd like to ask you a favor. A couple favors. One, that you give the video a like, and two, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel a lot and we really appreciate it. Hey guys, welcome back to the USA to Philippines Life channel with your host, me, Mike. And as my intro suggested, we will look at the revelation out of the Philippines this past week that unvaccinated foreigners will not be permitted to enter the country beginning February 16th. Does that mean the Philippines will be reopened for tourists at that point? No. But the same people who have been able to get in before are going to continue to be able to get in, but former Filipinos, balikbayans like myself, the spouse of a Filipino citizen, visa holders, folks of that nature that fall under the definition of foreign international travelers, will need to provide proof of being fully vaccinated at least 14 days prior to getting on a plane to the Philippines. So this is it's a new article today, Saturday the 15th of January. It's the nationalnews.com, and it goes like this. Overseas visitors planning to visit the Philippines from next month will need to make sure they are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 before traveling. From February 16th, only foreigners who have been immunized at least 14 days before travel will be allowed entry in the Philippines. This does not apply to Filipino citizens, and there are other exemptions. The new rule was announced by acting presidential spokesman Karolina at a press briefing on Friday. He also explained a series of other updates to the country's travel rules, including reducing pre-departure PCR testing times from 72 to 48 hours and adding countries to the red-green list for travel, with India placed on the green list and Saudi Arabia turning red. Exemptions to the new mandated vaccination rule for foreigners include diplomats and dependent children, people who can't be vaccinated for health reasons. Most international tourism to the Philippines remains suspended, and tourism visas are not being issued owing to the global pandemic. A plan to reopen to fully vaccinated tourists from countries on the green list on December 1st was put on hold owing to the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Only a small demographic of foreigners can currently visit the Philippines. From February, they will need to be fully vaccinated. This includes people with pre-existing visas, those registered under balikbayan program as former Filipino citizens, their foreign spouses or children, and those with a special resident or retiree visa or an entry exemption document issued by the Department of Foreign Affairs. The country's red list has also been updated, and I will show a screenshot of the country's list, red, green, yellow, from the IATF. You're probably seeing that right now. The country's red list has also been updated with 14 new destinations, including Saudi Arabia, Canada, Spain being added to the list, which will be in effect from January 16th until at least January 31st. Inclusion on the list no longer means travel is prohibited from these destinations, but that additional measures must be followed to the Philippines. There are separate rules in place for vaccinated and unvaccinated travelers from red list countries. Eligible vaccinated travelers must have a negative result from a PCR test taken within 48 hours of departure, undergo a 7-day facility-based quarantine on arrival, and take a follow-up PCR test on the 7th day. If the result is negative, travelers will be sent home and must continue to isolate until the 14th day. Those who have not been vaccinated or are only partially vaccinated when they fly must show a negative PCR result from a test taken no more than 48 hours before departure and undergo 10 days of facility-based quarantine after negative PCR test result. They will also be allowed to complete the last 4 days of quarantine at home. India has been added to the green list for quarantine-free travel. More destinations were added to the Philippine green list in the most recent update, as you've seen, as I've shown the list fresh off the IATF website. They go on to list the countries. I'm not going to read them off because you can pause it and see the grid from the IATF website. On Thursday, CNN reported that the country's Interagency Task Force, IATF, for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases would discuss whether the government travel ban will continue. The Philippines has experienced a recent surge in infections, with a record 34,021 cases reported on Thursday, the highest since the start of the pandemic, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. So even though obviously Omicron has arrived in the Philippines, things are surging. You can see by the actions of the Philippine government, it doesn't seem that they are panicking and locking the doors. Obviously, they're seeing light at the end of the tunnel on this pandemic. The general consensus is that once Omicron runs its course, this will shift from pandemic to endemic, and then hopefully, God willing, we can start to get back into some sort of normal life post-pandemic. I don't think it'll ever be like it was before the pandemic. The world was not the same after the Spanish flu pandemic. My wife and I just watched an excellent video about that. Things are just not going to be the same. So there you have it, guys. No Vax, no entry for foreigners. So with that, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you like the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. As we always like to say at USA, the Philippines Life channel, wherever you are in the world, stay well, stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll see you real soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.